Welcome to the Not Just Any Business podcast from Not Just Any CPA firm, Honkkamp Kruger. Here are your hosts for this episode, marketing partner and CMO, Nicole Gantz, and marketing supervisor, AmyBell Kwallek. Ladies,
welcome. Thanks for joining us on the Not Just Any Business podcast from top 100 CPA and business consulting firm, Honkkamp Kruger. I'm AmyBell Kwallek.
And I'm Nicole Gantz.
And welcome back for this episode where we'll be discussing solutions for solving the increasingly difficult task of finding the right finance executive for your business.
Our guest today is HK partner Mike Welbes. Mike leads the charge to solving the issue of filling finance positions for our clients who are finding this job marketplace incredibly difficult to navigate. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Nicole. Happy to be here.
So, Nicole, this discussion idea actually came about as part of a common issue you were hearing in client satisfaction interviews. Is that correct?
That's correct. So our CEO and president, Greg Burbach, and I all year round go out and do client satisfaction interviews with the firm's top clients. And when we are truly listening to them and hearing about their business pains, unrelated to accounting and tax issues, they say one thing that keeps them up at night is finding and keeping really good people, particularly in their finance positions. Sometimes they have tunnel vision that they need to find just the right person who's smart with finance, has all the credentials, has a great cultural fit at the right price. And sometimes that's just not available in their marketplace or in their business model. So they need to get a little bit more creative on how to fill that. And so that's where Honkkamp can come in and help fill with different solutions other than just a straight up hire.
Right. So, Mike, in your department, you've actually come up with some creative solutions to solve this problem.
Yeah, that's correct. We've got two different solutions that we have. We've got our talent outsourcing, where we'll place individuals directly into the business. And then we also have, simply an outsource and accounting function that individuals will do a lot of those repetitive type jobs that they do month after month or quarter after quarter. And both of those are good opportunities for businesses to outsource some of those accounting functions, whether they can't find the staff or they think it's just a good fit for their business.
All right. So when you're talking about outsourcing the accounting and bookkeeping function to HK, what does that look like? What does that entail for a client?
HK, they can come in, they can customize kind of what our involvement is with that client. But, real simply, we can help on that accounts payable process. We can reconcile daily deposits, prepare sales tax, or even utilize our payroll company, HKP. And we'll implement ourselves within your whole business process, help you with that accounting process, again, on that monthly or quarterly basis.
So why do clients like this option in particular?
Businesses will outsource their accounting, their bookkeeping needs to HK, kind of fill a void within their organization. Some of the organizations may experience consistent turnover in some of their areas, and they may also just need to fill that full-time experience that they can't find elsewhere. Using HK, they'll allow the business to know they have a team of experienced individuals rather than, just continually trying to hire people and train them. We've got a group that can be available, and maybe some of the larger issues that you got to deal with, it may be hard to find that experience, yet we have it within the organization to answer those questions quickly and kind of keep the process moving in the accounting functions for the businesses.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. Like we were talking about how it's hard to keep and find good people, where if you are outsourcing that side of your business function, you have the team there, they're set, they're established, and you don't have to worry about continually hiring that staff accountant on your own or a controller or whatever it happens to be.
Right. With that accounting function, a lot of times it's just hard to find that talent out there. Again, if we can help with those different processes, a lot of times we can find some efficiencies within your business and help them out to make it even a quicker and smoother process in order to get you that information that you need.
So tell us more about the idea you first mentioned of talent outsourcing and how that came about. How long has HK been doing this particular solution?
The talent outsourcing has been part of the business model for a long time, but I'd say in the more recent years, we've even focused on it more, just because I think, as Nicole had mentioned, going out and talking to the clients and hearing what they need, there's a big need for that talent outsourcing. And that can come about from many different ways, whether it's, filling a maternity leave leave, there's a termination you weren't expecting, or someone gives their notice. All of those are great opportunities for the talent outsource because we've got the individuals, we've got a team in place, and these individuals do nothing more than consistently go out, work in businesses, see what the functions are, and they'll kind of be a good temporary situation. We've got others that'll work at a full-time position where they may get on a temporary basis, and long-term, the business likes that we have the experience in there, and they can oversee a lot of the duties that the individual team's doing for the business currently. So we've developed the group over the last how many years, and it seems to be more and more of a need, especially in the time when there's low unemployment at this point.
Definitely. So what does that look like to have an HK professional actually on site at your business? How does that work?
If it works out that the individual that they are replacing, maybe it's a maternity leave for a part-time, or you have a notice that the individual gives, our professionals will come in and shadow or work side by side with them for a period of time until they're either gone or no longer working there. What they'll do is they'll work to produce some workflow summaries or document the processes that current person has, because a lot of times when an individual leaves, it's a lot of knowledge that they have themselves, but they've never documented it. So our first goal is to have the professional come in, document the processes, and once those are documented, then they can work while the individual's off and continue to take care of the duties that they have. And if it's something that I'm thinking of a termination or someone's given their notice, long term, they can come in, shadow them, kind of take care of that temporary period and work through everything. And then when a new person starts, they've got all those documented processes already in place. So that's really on the talent outsourcing, what that goal is. And then long term, maybe it's a position that we continue to work on. We can look for efficiencies as far as these individuals have worked at a bunch of different businesses, and at work in those businesses, they'll find out all new technologies and sometimes try to implement those into the new businesses that they go into.
So what you're saying is that these professionals can come in, they interact with your staff, they're really part of the team on a day-to-day basis. They can provide whatever you need on that full-time or part-time status, but the company doesn't actually have to handle any of the HR overhead.
Yeah, that's correct, because we've built this team, they've got the experience, and we've got the connections where they can constantly be implemented into different businesses, and that's part of our model that works good, and that really benefits the business so that they don't have to go through that HR hiring process, the training process, and try to get that individual, especially in the short time situations, try to get them trained up, because by the time they're trained up, someone may be back from maternity leave or a short-term absence.
So then, Mike, if there's just not a good cultural fit or another reason that they're just not a good fit for that company, you could probably just swap them out for someone with equivalent talent, and they're not kind of stuck with somebody that's just not a good fit for the office.
Yeah, and I think that's true, as well as we can also look and make sure they're staffed at the appropriate level. Yeah. So we may put an individual at a staff level in there, and maybe it's actually a higher level that we need. We can switch people in and out based on who's available and what our team looks like. Yeah,
and then they get somebody who's experienced, knowledgeable, and trained, but they're not in the weeds of the business every day, and they can get more creative and innovative with some of the solutions.
Right. I think the biggest benefit we've found, in fact, just currently we're working with someone right now, but they're utilizing a older version of QuickBooks, and we're trying to get them up on a QuickBooks online and do a lot of integrations with their bank feeds. So that's one example of they've had individuals in there for a long period of time. They're used to doing it the way they've always done it. By having an experienced individual that knows additional technologies, they can actually be a lot more efficient on how that job's done. And therefore, even when they're finding the replacement, they may not need a full-time replacement any longer at this position, and they can cross-train into other positions.
And I think that's a really important point there is, sometimes we come in on a temporary basis while they're looking to fill a position. And at the same time, that might be, they might think of that, that's time lost and we can't get anything done. But actually, when you bring in someone through this talent outsourcing program, you can accomplish a lot. You can get your processes documented, get your systems updated, so that when your new person does come in, they're ready to hit the ground running. So it's actually a way to accomplish a lot in that perceived downtime.
Yep, I agree with you.
At what levels can we do this for them?
Within our group that we have, we've got anyone from, current staff that have just been out of college a few years, all the way to individuals that have been CFOs at privately held companies. So we've got all different levels. Our goal usually is when we have an inquiry to see if we're a good fit and to come in is really to analyze what they're looking for. Once we know that, then we can place the staff that's appropriate there. But we do have all levels from the lowest of staff all the way up to that CFO position.
So that's really kind of fascinating. People might not think that you can get kind of a temporary outsourced finance executive. That's maybe not something they're thinking about. Mm-hmm. So what kind of companies and industries are good fit for this, or what size of business? Is there, some demographics that you're looking for that would be good fits?
Yeah, I think we talked originally about just our accounting functions that we do. A lot of times that function is done, I'll say with some of the smaller family-owned businesses that may have limited staff and they don't have the opportunity to have full-time CPAs or accountants on staff. So that's a good spot there. As we get into talent outsourcing, a lot of times we're a little bit bigger company that may have a developed accounting staff and a number of people in there. And again, we're trying to fill that void, within certain situations when they lose staff, or even if they just feel they don't have a full-time equivalent position there. That's a great spot in order to fill that. So, and as far as industries go, we've worked in almost all industries, whether it's the medical, the restaurant, retail, construction, or manufacturing. I think we have an experience, outsource solution in all of those situations. And, ultimately, again, a lot of it falls back to the knowledge that our individuals have within the technology area that can really fit in any of those industries or even others as well.
So what if they're not a local business to one of our HK offices? What kind of opportunities are there for them?
The great part about today's world is, we can do things virtually. So we have the capability of, if they are relatively local, individuals can be there or be on site and do that, even if they're not local. The opportunity is, and we've done this many of times, is we'll go out and work with the client, be on site for a period of time until we have a comfort level, set up everything virtually so that we can actually do things in our office and that individual can be sitting in the office doing the work of someone that would typically be in the business's office. So it works well. I think the best plans have been that we go there, we again get everything documented in the process in place, work out of our office for a period of time, but also have points in time when we're back on site, because I do think that's important just so the individual can feel what the culture is of the business. They can get used to the work, and I think a face-to-face with some of the other employees always helps out to, deal with problems or, get the solutions taken care of.
So do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners on filling these difficult positions and being more creative with their solutions to this?
I think that the creative part is, I think where a lot of businesses are just used to doing what they're used to doing. They'll hire people, in the local area, or they'll do what they've always done. I think it's important, especially in this environment where it's hard to find maybe some of the talented staff, especially with the low unemployment right now. So we can develop just that team that comes in, helps them out. I think overall, just keep in mind that we can work with you, and a lot of times it's not just filling the void of that workload, but it's setting up those processes, make sure everything's documented so that the next person that comes into the position has a well-documented position, and they can take those efficiencies that more than likely our team can put in place, and actually the whole office can be more efficient in the long run.
It sounds like either of these solutions really gives that business owner or business executive peace of mind that they are putting into place a system where credentialed, qualified people are taking care of their books for them and their numbers and giving them timely information in order to make business decisions that's accurate and can help them move toward their business goals.
Yeah, it's a good point, Nicole. I think, the whole point of all this is we're talking about financial statements. You want to use the analytics in those financial statements in order to make sure you're kind of working on your business. And that's ultimately the goal, is to come in and give you something very timely that you can look at and utilize to run your business more effectively.
Well, that does it for today's episode. Thank you to Mike for sharing your insights on this very important topic, and thank you to Happy Smith Productions for producing this episode.
If any of our listeners would like to learn more about talent outsourcing or monthly accounting services and alleviating yourself of the burden of finding the perfect person, call us at 888 556-0123. Email us at info@honcamp.com or shout out to us via our social media pages.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any hot topics. We'll see you next time on the Not Just Any Business Podcast.